Welcome to On Air with Russell of Hotels, where we talk about everything hospitality, from hotels to influencers and everything in between. We will feature guest interviews with hospitality professionals who will share their experiences. Your host, Russell Edmond, has spent over 25 years in the hospitality industry, beginning his career with Marriott International in hotel operations before moving into the sales arena and becoming a relationship building director of sales and marketing. Russell then went to the other side as a hospitality entrepreneur. He now consults in the hotel and meeting space, which includes being the CEO of Russell of Hotels Group. Did I mention he was a veggie foodie? Yes. Russell is always looking for good non-meat eats. Please welcome your host, Russell Edmond.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining On Air with Russell of Hotels live hospitality talk show. As you can see, we have a guest here, none other than Mr. Calvin Stovall. We're going to get into it with him in a minute. I just have a couple quick housekeeping notes, if you will, to take care of before I introduce this young man, this dynamic speaker who's been on this, he's been on this talk show circuit for the last month. I've been noticing him popping up everywhere, coming on my feed and all this kind of stuff. So believe me when I say when someone's a big deal, this dude's a big deal. Okay, so you guys just hold tight with me as I go through just a couple things. First and foremost, I'm gonna be at this conference next week, so it's only fitting that I let people know that I'm gonna be at the California Lodging Investment Conference. That's Craig Sullivan. He's the founder and president and a good friend of mine. He's putting on this. This is, I think, his sixth or seventh. Oh, it was six. It's the number six right there. So, yeah, it's his sixth annual California Lodging Investment Conference. If you have any questions at all, go click conference.com. It's next week, and I didn't realize next week was it, right? I mean, today is the last day of the month, and so it's March 1st and 2nd, and it's at the West and South Coast Plaza. And that is in Costa Mesa, California. So once again, I'll be there. So if anything, you don't want to go to the conference, just come to see me, hang out with me, order me a Arnold Palmer, we can hang out. So no, I'm just joking. But anyway, please come and come and support Craig. So thank you so much. And then this is the last day of Black History Month, right? So every week I've had a quote, and today is no different. And so the quote of the day is, "He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life." And that came from none other than Muhammad Ali. So once again, he who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life. So there you go. And it's only fitting, now I'm back at that. Now you see Mr. Stovall here. It's only fitting that I have Calvin as the last person of the last day of the month, last day of Black History Month. It's just, I mean, it just turned out like this. I mean, it wasn't planned. It just actually just fell into place like this. So I want to first of all, thank Calvin for coming on. You can unmute your mic. I'm going to introduce you in a minute, but please unmute your mic and welcome.
Well, thank you, Russell. Excited to be here, man. Excited to be here.
No, I'm excited, dude. I'm so excited. I mean, it seems like forever. We were just talking off air a little while ago. It seemed like it was last year that we had a conversation that he was going to come on the show, but I guess it was just maybe 4 weeks ago. It wasn't long ago because this is just the end of February. But no, I appreciate the conversation we had and just kind of getting to know you. I mean, we've known of each other, and that's basically from, LinkedIn or social media for the most part, right? So, right. And people sleep on this whole social media thing, right? They always think that, oh, I don't do that. I don't do social media. Oh, it's not good for me. Oh, it's bad or whatever. But, a lot of relationships that I have built over the years, especially since COVID, have come because of social media. So, I mean, I appreciate that.
I agree 100%. 100%.
Okay. So Before we get into it, I'm going to read this quick bio of Mr. Calvin Stovall, and then we're going to get into the conversation. And this is not an interview, okay? So, and make sure, this is a conversation, and you guys are more than welcome to have, and when I mean you guys, this means all the people that listen, that are tuning in. I mean, feel free to make your comments, because that's what it's all about. It's all about being engaged, and I welcome the comments, the conversation, the questions you may have for myself or for Mr. Stovall. So I do appreciate that. But let me go ahead and read his rather interesting bio. Okay. Calvin Stovall is a keynote speaker, author, and hospitality historian with Iconic Presentations, LLC. He has nearly 30 years of experience in the hospitality and nonprofit service industry. Calvin is a native Chicagoan and began his hospitality career as a front desk clerk at the Holiday Inn City Center in downtown Chicago. During his hospitality career as vice president of brand marketing with Hilton Worldwide, he was responsible for the marketing and public relations efforts for more than 150 Homewood Suites hotels. While under his leadership, the Homewood Suites brand was recognized 4 times by the J.D. Power and Associates. Calvin's enthusiasm and immeasurable passion for Black history has continued throughout his adult years. Today, he leverages his life experiences as a business leader, along with his expertise as a hospitality historian, to engage and connect with audiences nationwide. Calvin earned his bachelor's degree in business administration at Chicago State University and his master's from Cornell University School of Hotel Administration in Ithaca, New York. Calvin currently resides in Mooresville, North Carolina, with his 2 teenage sons, Caden and Carson. Without any further ado, let's welcome Mr. Calvin Stovall to the microphone.
I like that.
There we go, man. We got an in-house audience here that was excited to get you in here, man. So, no, I appreciate you. Once again, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, this is not an interview. It's a conversation between, 2 friends, right? We just hanging out. We just happen to have an audience, right? We just have a worldwide audience just kind of listening in and maybe gleaning some information. But real quick, so we know you didn't go from Holiday Inn as a desk clerk to being the vice president of brand management in 2 years. So give us kind of, if you wouldn't mind, let's start the progress.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I try to make that. First of all, thank you, Russell, for having me. I'm really grateful to get an opportunity to chat with you and your listeners, man. So first of all, I'm very grateful for that. Secondly, no, that didn't happen like that. I wanted to make a bio. I didn't want to make it too long, but in between that time, when I was a desk clerk, of course, I had some other roles in the hotel. I mean, I was a front office manager for some time and things of that nature throughout. And in between that time, right after graduate school, I was actually an assistant general manager at an Embassy Suites hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. I got moved to Memphis when I was recruited from school by Promise Hotels. It was Promise then, but it's Hilton now.
Yeah, Hilton.
And they had like a President's Associate program. And you might recall Harrah's used to be a part of that organization. So you could either go hotel or casino side. And of course, I went to the hotel side. And after some training in Charlotte, then they sent me to Memphis, and I was at AGM a couple of years. And then I transitioned into corporate after being on property a couple of years, and I was working in the research department a couple of years. And then I became, a director of brand marketing for Homewood Suites, and then eventually promoted in that position as well as to VP. So yeah, it was a long stretch. That stretch was probably about 10 years or so in between, something like that. Okay. But yeah. But it was great, man. I had a great career, man. I had some great people help me along the way, some great mentors, and so I've truly enjoyed. I bleed hospitality, man. That's my thing. Love it.
Wow, that's great. I love that. Now, let me just ask you this first. When you were the front desk clerk at the downtown property, the Holiday Inn downtown City Center in Chicago. Now, that position, was that like a part-time position? Was that before you went to school, or had you already graduated?
It was. Let me tell you. It was no, it was a full-time role. I actually went to school full-time at night, and I got out in 4 years. So I was working during the day and I went at night. The weird thing, I went to a vocational high school. I went to Dunbar Vocational High School in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago. And my original plan was I was going to go into be an architect. So I had majored in drafting and all of that. And then I ended up getting a gig at a company called Alfred Benish and Company right out of high school. So I was delivering plans and doing some drafting a little bit. And actually, a friend of mine um, told me, he was like, man, his sister, I think his sister had just gotten into hotels, and he was like, man, you got a personality. You would probably be great in a hotel. And so I went to a school, a night. It was like a night program called Echoes. I think it was called
Mhm.
Echoes International Hotel School. So I was working at Alfred Benish, but then I went to this night school. It was just like a couple of hours a night, a couple of days, nights a week, and I ended up getting hired. One of the instructors was the general manager at the Holiday Inn, or she was
Mm.
a manager at that Holiday Inn. So when I
Okay.
got my certificate, she hired me, and so she was cool with me, so I went to work full time at the day. I quit the draftsman job, of course, and then I worked
Mm.
full day as a desk clerk, and then went to school full time at night at Chicago State. And I got out in 4 years, man. It was grueling, but I got out, and then I went right after I graduated. Like, I graduated in like 90 or something, and then in 92 I was already at Cornell, so I went straight into that.
Okay.
um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that's,
So
that's how that
that
whole.
clarifies a little stuff. That clarifies a
Yeah,
little
that
stuff.
does. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was, hey, listen, it was a journey, but it was a fun one. But
Uh-huh.
I loved Cornell, man. I loved Ithaca. It was just nice, just a great experience. Learned a lot
Okay,
while I was.
there was something. Okay, when we had our first conversation, I asked you this question about, okay, you're graduated, or you're about to graduate from Chicago State, and did you know right away you were going to go to grad school?
No, I kind of knew I wanted to. I wasn't 100% sure how that was going to unfold, because hey, that stuff costs money, and so
Mm-hmm.
I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was going to happen. And what happened was, I went to and I don't even know if they still do these. I was still an undergraduate, and they have those graduate school forums. I don't even know if they
Mm-hmm.
still have those, where you could go, because I had taken my GMAT, and I think it was sponsored by GMAT or whatever. And they have all these graduate schools would come to this one place, and they would have their booth set up, and you can go talk to them about their graduate programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember talking to the lady at Michigan State at her booth, and right next to that booth was Cornell's booth. And you know, and in between the conversation, I remember Sandra Booth was the lady that was in the Cornell booth, and she said, "When you're finished talking to them, come over here. I want to talk to you about a program what we have over here and da 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 da." So me thinking Ivy League, Cornell. I was like, man, I know I'm not gonna be, but they had a great like program. I just had to make sure I got a decent score on my GMAT to get in. Wrote a really great, application and everything and story around it, and I ended up getting in. So that was a blessing from God right there. So to be able to go to Ivy League school and one of the best hotel programs out there in the
Yeah.
in the
No,
universe.
that's the
You
best.
know?
That you don't get no higher than that. Okay, no, hey, let's don't fake it here. That is number one. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just like, man, I was just really super excited. I do remember, when I got accepted, and telling my mom, she was just overwhelmed with joy, when I got in there. And unfortunately, she passed away that same year.
Wow.
Yeah, but at least
Uh,
she know I was gone.
mhm.
And
Yes, yes.
but it was just you know, that was something I never expected. But the weird thing is, when I was in undergrad, I used to read the Cornell Quarterly all
Mhm.
the time,
Mhm.
and I used to be in my mind, I would be like, man, it would be great to go to that school. So it ended up happening for real. It just manifested blessing from God.
Wow. Wow. But you went for free though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't pay for anything. I mean, the graduate assistantship the second
Yeah.
year.
Uh-huh.
But I did some recruiting and stuff at colleges to, increase minority representation in the graduate program.
Hmm.
But no, I didn't. Tuition I did not pay, sir.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I wanted to get across. That you went
I did
for
not pay.
free. You had a
Yeah.
scholarship to go, so
Yes,
that's good.
yes, sir. You just had to have a decent score on the GMAT,
Uh-huh.
and they were trying to, increase, minority representation in the graduate program. They didn't have. I was the only one, so they had more in the undergrad, but there was
Uh-huh.
none really in the graduate. So when the graduate assistantship came up, they let me kind of write out what I wanted to do, and
Wow.
I decided to go try to recruit minority students into the program, and I think we got a couple of them in there.
Wow.
So yeah.
Now what? Speaking of that, speaking of like minority recruiting, do you think? And I'm not sure how how much you know about this or how much you're attached to maybe your school and maybe know what other schools are doing. Do you think we're doing enough, colleges and universities? Do you think they're doing enough to recruit not just minorities but in general to get into this industry?
um, I really think. I think they're trying. I think it's getting better. I'm always been the kind of think about fish where the fish are. You got to go to the schools. I'm thinking you got to go in the schools and do presentations and all of that. I think job fairs work, but I don't think they're nearly as personable if you go to the school and talk about your program and tell them what you have. The great thing about when I was being recruited, they would come to you and talk to you,
Mm,
face to face, and people would come to Cornell and have conversations. So I think that works, but I do think that companies are getting better at it. But you got to really to show that the industry is like making sure like young people like technology and all of this. You got to
mm-hmm,
make sure that hotel industry has all the tech stuff that these younger well, I'm gonna say I like it too, but all that stuff, to attract them too, and I think all of that stuff will help recruit more students into it. But
mm-hmm.
I do think um, it's just been a weird last 3 or 4 years, and I always say this. I think that one of the biggest mistakes as an industry, and I'm gonna say we because I'm in it,
Mm-hmm.
um, was that when COVID happened, we did not take care of our folks, and we were all about we're family, and we're family, and then when that happened, and I get it, you got to look at cost, but I just think we could have done a better job instead of letting all those people go like that. And then you look at research, 30% of the people said they weren't even coming back to the industry. We lost a lot of talent
Yeah.
because of the way we handled that. So, I mean, that's lesson learned, and I think we turning the corner now, but we're still having labor issues out there. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
we can, I think we just aggressively continue to aggressively recruit.
Yeah.
And we got to be out there, man. You got to let people know that there's a future in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole other side. I mean, a lot of people didn't even know there's a whole corporate side. Yeah, you could be on property, but there's a
Yeah.
whole marketing,
Mm,
finance, all that
yeah.
stuff on the other side. And if they don't know about that, a lot of people are like, man, I don't want to work on property. I don't want to be there working all those hours.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't let them know, hey man, there's a whole whole different corporate side to that. You can,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
so
No, that's
just information is everything. And if people don't know that, it limits. If everybody's thinking it's just the hotel industry is just hotel, I can only work in a
mm-hmm.
hotel. You're
Yeah.
limiting yourself. There's a whole
Exactly.
other side to that, and that's the part I think that's probably missing. We got to do a better job at letting them know that there's that other corporate side as well that you can get in.
I agree. I agree. I was looking. I was reading something, and I was. I must say, I was disappointed in this message where, and it had to do with Marriott and where they said they were going to restart their recruiting process. Now that we're behind the eight ball, and I say we because I'm in the industry just like you're in, right?
Yes, yes.
It was very disappointing when they said we're going to restart the recruiting process. I said restart. I said we should have
Stop.
been that should have been an ongoing thing. You never should have
Hmm.
stopped that because, and I go back to my own experience. We always draw from our experiences, right? And you hit it on the head when you said companies need to go to the campus. I remember they came, and that's how I got recruited with Marriott at the campus at a kind of a job fair, whatever. But they would take you
Yeah,
aside, and you would have
yeah,
conversation with them and things like that. And next thing I knew, I had an interview and I got the job. And I had a job probably 6 to 8 months before I graduated from school. So I was
yeah.
like, I was,
You,
I was in easy street. I was just relaxing and all because I knew I had a job already, right? So, but yeah,
man.
but to hear that it was disappointing to me. I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "We need to be doing that because I've been preaching this stuff for the last couple of years." I said, "Hey, we need to." In fact, the school that I went to, I was talking to because one of the professors was a classmate of mine. So she invited me to come up to the school, and I did a speaking engagement with some of the students and things like that. And there was probably no more minority students than it was when I was there. And that's been probably 30 years, right? It was
Yeah.
three of us. It was three of us, and when I graduated, it was three of them when I got there a couple of
Wow.
years ago. Yeah, so
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, and I just say overall we need more recruiting, and we
Yes.
can't stop. We have
Yes.
to constantly keep doing it. Management, I think I went through an it was called Management ID program or something like that with Marriott
Mhm.
years
Mhm.
ago, and I'm not even sure they still do things like that. But those are things that you got you excited about the brand and all
Yes.
That's when a lot of the different options came up. Like corporate was an option, not just working on property. Although you had certain position that you're going to go through, but corporate
Hey,
working in the corporate office was an option. So yeah, so I mean, it was just a lot of excitement about it. I mean, and it just it was
it
it was
was.
it was infectious.
Yes, I agree 100%. I mean, and all you got to do is really, the schools that have hospitality programs. I just say call them and say, hey, I want to come up and talk to your students about career opportunities, and trust me, they'll let you in,
Oh yeah.
and they'll let you in. They'll give you some time, because I just think that just shows a genuine interest in what you're trying to accomplish. And I just think if you go there to the school, it just takes it to a different level.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
Fish
Definitely.
where the
Definitely.
fish are. That's what I.
Yes. Yes. I like that. I like that. Okay. Let's move on a little bit. So okay. So you're vice president of brand marketing with Hilton Worldwide.
Mhm.
Um, and I saw the awards, JD Power and Associates, 4 years in a row. Now, was Hilton Garden Inn, that was a new brand back when you started, right? Or was it already
Hilton
established?
was new. Homewood was kind of new. I mean, when I started with Homewood, they only had like 35 hotels.
Okay,
So
okay,
they were kind of new, and Residence Inn was the Goliath of extended
okay,
stay. So
gotcha.
that was kind of our aspiration to be like extended stay, to have that kind of distribution. But
Mm,
Hill Garden Inn was new. It was just kind of just launching as well. So they didn't have a lot of properties either. But yeah, Homewood, man, we had a great team. We were led by a guy named Jim Holthauser. He was a fantastic leader. Monica Gaston, who was kind of like my brand person, and then Linda
mm,
was kind of my. We had a very small but mighty team, and
wow.
man, we pushed that brand, and we had great franchisees, great employees at the hotel. They were all super supportive of the initiatives that we launched, and extended stay. The weird thing is, we were talking about extended stay way back then, and it's funny when it comes up now. It's almost like everybody talks about it like it's a new thing. Uh, Funny, man. Man, we were talking about that, and the weird thing is, even in this book that I'm writing, the history, they were talking about it back then. Extended, like,
Wow. Really?
because they had some hotels where they had people staying for extended periods. So it's
Okay.
not. not new.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, see, now see you jumped ahead. Now see, I'm trying to build up. I'm trying to build up.
They
The
got nothing to mess
excitement,
it up.
and you just threw it out there. I'm like, what? No, he didn't just say that. But
I'm
dang, you
just
just
up.
stole my thunder. All right, okay, all right. But we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But okay, so after Hilton Worldwide, you
Yeah.
got into now you're CEO of your own company, Iconic Presentation. What does that
Uh-huh.
consist of?
Well, I primarily specialize in doing keynotes for hospitality companies or real estate management companies. I've spoken for healthcare because I'm really talk about the importance of customer experience, employee experience. I really press hard on employee experience because you got to have that to have a good guest experience. So I talk a lot about leadership, but my keynotes are a little bit unorthodox because I love music. So it's a lot of action involved in it, chants and hip hop, all kind of stuff going on, man. But you're learning, but you're having fun at the same time. Um, but yeah, and I'll do customer service training and workshops. I also do emotional intelligence workshops as well. EQ. So, but most of I would say 90% of my um, stuff that I do is usually keynotes, and
Okay.
that's what I love. I love doing it. I just love seeing a crowd of people excited and fired up about what they're doing, and it's just a great thing to do. I'm just happy to be able to have that kind of blessing to inspire people like that. I just love it. Grateful
Now,
for it.
how did you get into that? How did you start? What was that aha moment? Like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing presentations or
And you know
keynote
what?
speaking.
It's so weird. Let's go. If you rewind back to my Homewood days, when you're like a senior director or VP, every year they would always have an annual conference with their directors of
Mm,
sales and their
mm,
GM.
mm,
You would
mm.
always have to get up and do your marketing plan and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know how that goes. And but the great thing about when I was with Homewood, we would always do some like very creative ways of presenting. So they would be themed. Like I remember we had a 007, all kind of just different themes. So it would be kind of there's entertainment in it as well. I remember when we were in New Orleans, I came out with the Xavier marching band. I mean, it was
Wow.
not the whole band, but
Okay.
a piece of the drum line basically.
Okay. Okay.
So we would do stuff that was like just a little unorthodox and was entertaining. But what would happen was, I would get up and talk about my marketing plan, and I would get a very positive reaction from people. It was just like I would just get a great reaction. And so a gentleman, he was a speaker. He's gone now. His name was Keith Harrell. And he spoke about attitude is everything.
Mm.
And he got up and did his thing. He was fantastic, and I was like, "Wow, that is awesome." But when they were looking at the ratings after, how you get reviews and stuff,
Mm.
my score was kind of up there too. So I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, let me see what's going on." So I actually contacted Keith and told him that I really wanted to explore that as a career, and he kind of took me under his wing and taught me the kind of the speaking business and
Wow.
yeah, and truly great. He was a fantastic brother, man. We
Mm.
lost him real too early, too soon. He's gone, but he was out there on the motivational speaking circuit probably before a lot of it caught on.
Okay.
You know, and, but he was killing the game, man, and just had just a great spirit. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it. It's almost like I was just doing my marketing plans, and then from there I just kept going. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And now
Yep.
I mean, it's a business that's what you do now. That's basic. Other than the other thing we're going to talk about in a minute, that's what your main focus is, right?
That is my main focus. Yes, speaking is my thing. Yes. So
Wow.
yeah, I really don't do a bunch of, people might call me for a little consulting stuff here and there, but the
Mm.
keynotes are probably why most people will call me because I'm
Okay.
high energy and excited and, just enthusiastic about it. And so, that's pretty much what I love to do. I just love that piece of my life, man. It's great.
No, I can feel you want to do it right now. I mean, I
I
can
do,
feel it
man. I'm
right
about to get,
now.
hey, you keep going. I'm about to get up and do one right now.
One thing that I did, and I let Calvin know that I said before I interview someone, I do my research, right? So I looked at probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 of his speaking engagements, keynote speaking, and just a lot, just fire, just you talking about music and getting people involved and things like that, and the interaction. That's what got it for me, like just the enthusiasm, the interaction. So make sure you go to YouTube and check out some of his videos. Calvin Stovall, the company, once again, is Iconic Presentations. And yeah, just make sure, and that's you see the logo right there. So just look for that logo, and you'll find it. But no, that was great. That was outstanding. But you hit on something on one of your presentations, and I'm gonna throw out a couple of things here, and you tell me what that means to you. What separates one hotel from their competition?
The people. I think the biggest thing is, because I think there's certain things that are what I call tickets to the ball game. You got to have a clean hotel. You got to have clean rooms. You got to have, that kind of stuff to even be in the choice, in the selection set. But the difference, what makes a hotel from ordinary to extraordinary, in my eyes, is the employees in that box. That's it. Your team and your employees are everything. And that's why I always say you can't have a positive guest experience without a positive employee experience, because your employees are the ones that create that experience for your brand, hotel, whatever company it is. So I'm always telling leadership, hey, listen, the biggest thing you got to do is take care of your people. You take care of them, everything else is going to fall into place. And what that means, it doesn't mean giving them everything they ask for. It's not that, but you got to care about them, care about their well-being. You got to give them professional development opportunities. You got to let them see a future. I mean, all of that stuff makes, so all of that communication, one-on-ones, the huddles that you do, all of that stuff makes a difference, because people got to feel like they're not just a spoke in a wheel. And so once you've done that and built that kind of culture within your company, making sure people's voices are heard, it's inclusive, they feel like they belong, man, you're winning. They're gonna take care. If you take care of them, they're gonna take care of your guests, and everything else is cool. But you can't ignore that, and sometimes I think people ignore that. You can have the most beautiful building in the world, but if the people inside of it is crappy, doesn't make a difference. It just doesn't make a difference. You might be able to hold on for a little while, but eventually,
Yeah.
people don't want to be mistreated, man. People want to be recognized and appreciated. So it's all of that's the secret. That's the secret sauce. The sad thing is not really a secret. Just
Yeah.
treat people kind. Just be
Exactly.
kind.
Exactly. We need to do more of that. Definitely need to
Mhm.
do more of that. That's great. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, okay. Okay. Iconic presentations. You're the CEO of that. Okay. Now, what is the project you've been working on that? And it's like only fitting that we talk about this on the last day of Black History Month. What are you working on, and where are you with this whole project? I mean, tell me.
Hey man, I'm in the zone. Okay, Russell, I am writing a book called Hospitality Historiography. Okay, well, and so it is really, it's kind of a history. It's a Black history book through the lens of hospitality. That's the best way I can describe it, because it takes you through. I mean, I start out in the late 1700s and go all the way through Jim Crow, all the way through Harlem Renaissance era, all the way through Civil Rights era, and even to today. So it's a chronological walk through hotels. So of course, I can't have every hotel in there. Book will be too thick,
Mhm.
and nobody will ever buy it. But it does have a significant number of them in it. I think there's probably 70 to 75 hotels in it.
Mhm.
And it also covers, of course, there's a couple of motels in there, like the AG Gaston and some Magnolia and some other ones. But I also cover resorts as well. So you'll see, of course, Idlewild's in there, Martha's Vineyards in there, and American Beaches in there, Chicken Bone Beaches in there. So it's a pretty extensive book, but it I think what people will find is that most of, not really 95% of the people in this book you probably don't even know, have
Mm,
never heard of. But they made a huge impact on the hospitality landscape, and because of what they did during probably one of the most challenging times in America's history, during segregation, they opened some of the most beautiful properties for their race, and I mean some really really nice ones. So that's what I've been working on, and I've turned in the manuscript this past Valentine's Day, to my publisher. So I'm like, yeah. Uh, so so that's good. And so so the next, of course, based on them, they said, it's going through review now. And she said I probably won't have the book in hand till probably fall
mhm,
sometime. But they'll probably do, she said pre-sales probably in the summer, late summer. So yeah, man, this has been one of those, what it, laborers of love.
mm,
Um, but I'm glad, I'm so happy I did it, because there's a lot of information out there, Russell, about some of these hospitality pioneers, but it's spread out all over the place. And I originally wrote this, we covered this topic in graduate school at Cornell. So it was a monograph. So I call
mm.
this is kind of a book 30 years in the making, basically. But it
Okay.
started as a monograph, but it was only like maybe like less than 100 pages,
Uh-huh.
and it covered quite a few people in it. But of course, with the follow up research that I've done over the last couple of years, it grew exponentially with the information that I found. So the great thing about it is, um, there are great other historians and archivists that have been out there, and they have stories here and there, but pulling all that into this one book, it's challenging but also rewarding at the same time.
Wow, that's great. Well, first of all, congratulations for turning in your
Thank
manuscript, and congratulations for taking on that. That's some responsibility, man. To let us know, or let people know, let the world know. It's not just us as African Americans, but it's everybody that needs to know that uh, we have some hotels too. I mean, we
you.
started hotels too, and you say you go back as far as what 18? What?
1870, with a lady named Rachel Pringle Polgring. She was the first African American woman. It was in Barbados, but she had a Royal Navy hotel in
Wow.
Bridgetown.
Okay.
But go through, man, the 1900s with the Marshall Hotel. I mean, we had a whole. There's a guy. What's his first name? Marshall is his last. Jimmy Marshall. James Marshall had a hotel right in Manhattan in 1900.
Wow.
And I mean, it was a hot popping one too. I mean, a lot of jazz. Recently, they said jazz kind of was first played in that hotel, but
Okay.
it's. I mean, the book covers. I mean, I'm all over. I mean, in Denver, you got Albany. I mean, it's just all over the place. But
Wow. That
the
is
way I
that is phenomenal.
yeah, the way it's written though, I think you mentioned something, Russell, when you said it's not just for Black people, it's for all of us. I feel like you're absolutely correct, because you can't tell American history without Black history. We're in the fabric,
Hello.
man.
Hello. I'm sorry. What you just say? I'm sorry. What you just say?
I said you can't tell American history without Black history. We're
Thank
in the
you.
fabric.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's you can't do it. So I just think what happened in this book is that I'm just I'm I'm filling that hole, that the piece that was missing, that's not been told. But it's part of American history.
Yes.
And it is I just think it's I think it's going to be inspiring to people. I think it's going to really open people's mindsets to really, even in challenging times that we deal with today, you could still fulfill your dream, because I'm telling you, what they dealt with, the prejudice, the unfairness, and all of those things during that time, and they were still able to accomplish so much. Um,
Yeah,
so
no,
yeah,
I like I said, I applaud you for putting it out there. When you told me, back in January, I was like, wow. I was like, really? And then when you said 1700s, I'm like, I was like, I can't wait to hear more about this and read this book. But no, I think this is great. I think this is great. I think it's something that's needed within the industry, and hopefully it maybe it inspires other people to come into this industry. Maybe it inspires other people to be owners within the
yes,
industry as well.
yes, and that's the thing. This book is probably more about entrepreneurship. You could just, because it is. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
the thing is about it in these cases, of course, they were probably coerced into it because they couldn't stay in white hotels downtown, or so they had to do what they had to do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, these properties, they flourished, and they were thriving entities, man. And I just think that people are just going to be surprised, because it does fly in the face of what a lot of people heard about Black history. It's usually around slavery or stuff like, man, that's part of this, that's part of our story, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but this is a whole different side, and that's why I'm excited to share this side. you
Oh,
know
that's good. This is good. This is great. So when okay, so you said pre-orders probably
Sometime
when?
this summer. Yeah, I don't want to quote Millie, take Millie out of her, quote her and be wrong, but that's what she said. And she'll call me. She was like, "I saw your interview, and you said no." She told me, she did say, she said probably late summer. So I'm thinking like August
Okay.
pre-sale.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Could be
Understood.
late July. But trust me, we'll be promoting all the way through there, and I'll be sharing some stories. Because the great thing about it, a lot of these properties, of course, they're gone. The passing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, um, it, it, it had its plus, of course. Wanted to be able to stay, because that really created where African Americans could stay wherever they wanted to stay. You know,
Mm,
public places, hotels, wherever they wanted to go. So of course, when that happened, we pretty much abandoned the Black owned hotels and went all over. So
mm-hmm.
we lost a lot of those properties. And but some in some places, they've been converted to senior housing or something. Some of them are just gone altogether. But sometimes there's a plaque there to kind of tell you what was there. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot. As I was going through this research, there's a lot more that I want to advocate to put up, because I think there are some other places we need to put some, because the hotel's just there and you don't know it's been there. I think we can.
Mm,
There's a few that can be added, but when all that happened, it just we lost a lot of those properties. But what I like is you can still go visit the site in some cases. Some of them are museums, like the Lorraine. You can go
okay.
see in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Mm-hmm.
formal one, and things of that nature. And the Hampton House, which is in Miami, go see those as well. So and even though some of the hotels, there's a few in the book that weren't, like the Hampton House, for example. It wasn't Black owned, um, but it was for Black people.
Mm, gotcha.
Only
Gotcha.
so, like all of the stars, like Duke Ellington, and all of the um, Joe Lewis, Louis Armstrong, and Billie Holiday, all of those stars, they could go play downtown. They can go play at the fancy clubs, but they couldn't stay down there. So they would have to travel
Mm-hmm.
to go stay at a Black hotel. So you had some instances, and some, where a white person might own the hotel, but it was for Blacks.
Mm,
But by book, primarily 85 to 90% of them, probably 95, are really purely Black owned hotels.
mm. Okay. Okay. Now, what was as you're doing your research, what was the most fascinating thing about doing your research? Like, what
I,
part of it was what was fascinating about it? I'll just leave it like that.
I think there were two things I think that kind of was cool. The first one was, and I think it's funny you asked me that question because I kind of wrote some stuff down because I was asking that question and I wanted to be prepared. Um, I think one of the biggest things was the number of millionaires.
Hmm. Really?
Like, yeah. So you had, and I wrote down a few. So you had like Robert Reed Church Sr. He was the first black millionaire hotelier of the South. You had Dana, what they call him, D.A. Dorsey, Miami's first African American millionaire. You had Alonzo G. Wright, the first African American millionaire in Cleveland. Madam Sarah Spencer Washington. Probably a lot of people don't know her.
Mm.
She came right behind Madam C.J. Walker,
Okay. Okay.
but she had hair care products. She had all of that, but she also owned the Brigantine Hotel in Brigantine, New Jersey. Um, but she was a millionaire.
Okay.
She had I think it was called Apex Products.
Hmm.
Um, so that was one of the probably biggest surprises because, Abraham Lincoln Lewis, his brother, he owned American Beach, and he was
Oh,
also a millionaire.
okay.
So I mean, so you had that, but then the other thing was um, the number of women that were owners. Black.
Mm.
So of course
Okay.
you had Madam, Sarah Spencer Washington. You had Annie Box. A lot of people don't know Annie Box. Annie Box, her
Mm.
husband named Curly, but she was primarily the owner of the hotel. It's called the Mountain View Hotel in Oracle, Arizona. Maggie Sneed, she built the first hotel in Paducah, Kentucky. Um, and so there's several others, and you know, it's just like, and I think Adam Blake with his Kenmore Hotel, he died early. I think like in his early 50s, and then his wife took over and ran it for another seven, eight, I'm gonna say almost 10 years. So you had
Wow.
a lot of situations where if something happened to the husband, the wife would take over and keep it going.
Hmm.
Joseph Lee, probably one of my favorite hoteliers in the book. Um, his wife, when he died, she actually opened up another hotel with his name on it. So I
Wow.
mean, it's just stuff like that, man. I just think that's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, that is.
Alma,
That's great.
Victor. I'm sure you're familiar with the Green Book.
Hmm.
Victor
Yeah.
Green. His wife, when he died, his wife kept the Green Book going for several
Okay.
years after
Okay.
he was gone. So I mean, hey man, women out here they're killing it too,
Yes, they are.
killing
Yes, they
killing
are.
the
And continue to kill it.
still doing
Continuing to kill
still doing it.
it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I think that was a surprise, and I not that I didn't expect them to be able to do it, but I didn't know it
Mhm.
was that because that was a hard time for women too.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah. Definitely.
suffrage and all that stuff going on, but they were still making it happen, and I just love
Wow.
that. Love
Wow.
that, man.
That is great. That is great. Now, did you include any like current people? Did you go from 17 to current time?
Yes, I did. I have. You know, um, I talk a little bit about. Let me see the hotel name. I can't remember the guy's name in Miami, but I have like Tracy Prigmore's in there. Davon Reeves is in there.
Okay.
Uh, so and I can't remember her name. The owner of the Salamander Resorts. She's in
Oh,
there.
that's Johnson, Sheila Johnson.
Johnson, Sheila Johnson's in there. Bob Johnson's in there.
Mm,
So I go through there, and then there's a couple of other hotel entrepreneurs that are in there, African American entrepreneurs in there as well. So I kind of pulled, and then I also for those hotels that were like maybe converted, or some like the Magnolia that is still in existence. I put those in there because then you could still go to those places now.
okay.
Um, and I can't remember. There's another hotel that was converted, um, and I think it's changed names now. It's called the Gold Rush Hotel, but I can't recall what it used to be. But yeah, so that's in there. So you'll be able to see like what happened to them,
Mm-hmm.
if they're still in existence, if they're a museum or whatever, and then as you go down into the current years, because still only 2% of the hotels that are out there are Black owned, so we still got a long way to go. Um, but I also talk about people that are out there trying to make a difference and put a dent in that, like like Miss Reeves and
Mm-hmm.
Tracy, some other people, and I know a couple of hotel companies like Wyndham and Choice. They have some programs in place
Exactly. Yeah.
try to spur development, hotel development by Blacks, and so all of that is in there. It's in the last chapter. I think it's called Keepers of the Flame.
Okay.
So it takes you through, yeah. So it like takes
Wow.
you through stuff that people are doing, and yeah, that's in there too. That's in there too.
Wow. This
Again,
is great.
a
I can
lot, man.
hardly wait. I can hardly wait for this to come out. Definitely.
Me
Definitely.
too. Me too. You know how we just dream about seeing something, Russell, man,
uh,
and it's just like, because of course there were days when I would come down and be like, man, I don't know if I got it in me to write again today. But you just gotta. It's one of those things where you just gotta finish it. You ever work on something, you just know you gotta finish it.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And this was one of those things I know I had to finish it. There was no way I
Cool.
couldn't.
Cool. Now, how long? Okay, from when you picked it back up after school, grad school, to when you finished it, how long was that?
Well, the grad school, that story, once I finished the monograph, I mean, that thing sat. I mean, it was on a shelf somewhere. And then in like 2021, I believe it was like early 2021, I was cleaning out some boxes and I found it. And I was like, wow, my monograph. And because they put it in a nice black binder, it's a hardcover binder with gold lettering on it. It's
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was coming out, I was here, a friend of mine was here, and I came out with it in my hand. And she was like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's a monograph I wrote about Black hotel ownership." And I'd say it goes back to like the 1700s, something like that. And she was like, "We had hotels?" And I was like, "Yeah, we did." And she was like, "Let me see." And so she was reading, she couldn't stop reading. She was like, "You gonna make this got to be a book, right?" And that was how it happened. I was
Wow.
like, "It's gonna be a book now." And so that was like spring of 21.
Okay. Okay.
So through 21, all through 22. And I remember the weird thing when I was in early 21, I was like, man, I had the monitor. I was like, man, I can knock this out by the end of the year.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I didn't even get close. I got distracted working on some other stuff too a little bit, but yeah, but yeah, turning that in was just a relief. But I can't wait to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how it all came to be, man.
Wow.
I
Well,
like
I
your
mean, this is great stuff.
great questions on here, brother. I love
Uh,
it.
Man, dude, I do my research, man. I want people to
Yeah,
listen in,
great.
right? And I want you to think. I want you to think a little bit. I don't want no easy questions, right?
Yeah, my man. I love it. I love it. I love it.
All right, man. So we're winding down a little bit. We got a couple more minutes left. But real quick, give us your information, like how do people get a hold of you?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn. If you just put Calvin Stovall, it'll probably come up. Iconic presentations. But if you go at Iconic Speaker on
Mm-hmm.
IG, at Iconic Speaker on Twitter. I don't use
Okay.
Twitter that much. I'll put stuff on there, but I'm on IG a lot, and I'm on I'm on LinkedIn all the time. But you can
Yeah,
find me.
yeah, and I guess congratulations are in order again for a designation or distinction or a recognition, I guess,
Oh, the
for
I, yeah,
yes,
yes, sir.
yes, 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 yes. So
Thank you, thank you,
congratulations again on that.
thank you.
Always good to see some of us on that list. That's for sure. That's
Thank
for
you.
sure.
I'm excited, man. I appreciate the International Hospitality Institute for being an honoree. I mean, and winning that was great, but I couldn't do it without the people engaging in my post and making comments and stuff. So
That's
thank
true.
all of you that do that with me. I'm truly grateful for that, and I just appreciate it.
No, that's true. That's true because I mean, people. Yeah, we're heavily involved in social media and putting things out, and it's all about the engagement, right? So we can't be successful in any of this stuff. I can't be successful on this show or anything
Right.
without people being engaged on whatever platforms I choose to use and engage in programs like this. So it's
Absolutely.
important that we put out, I guess, good content so people will engage, right? So
Absolutely.
I guess
And
I
that's
guess what it
the key.
comes down to, right?
Just putting garbage out there, you will not get no love.
Okay, I'm gonna ask this. I'm gonna ask a couple of questions, but one is, and this is something I gleaned from some of your presentation. Now that you're coming out with a book, okay, what is your definition of a hype man for the book?
Oh, well, I'm not. Hey, listen, I'm the hype man for the book. Okay, I'm the hype man, but I'm gonna need some help. I'm gonna need some assistant hypers or whatever you want to call them. But I talk about hype man in my keynotes.
Okay.
Um, that's one of the fun parts in the keynote when you know what a hype man is in hip hop, right? They come out,
Oh
get the crowd up,
yeah,
get them
get the
fired
crowd
up.
going and got to get them excited. Yeah, exactly.
So in my keynotes, I let them know that they're the hype man of their company, or hype person, or
Yeah,
however you want to say.
yeah.
And I say, when you're responsible for going back and getting people hyped up. So I have them do a chant, oh, it's crazy. It's crazy in there, man. It's crazy.
That
But
is wild. That's what I love. That's what I love.
we have a good time, man. It's fun. It's really fun.
That's what it's all about. And kind of piggybacking on that, the reason why I said that is because one thing that I always say that we have to be our own hype man when it comes to our brands, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
and the brand starts with us, right? So you're the brand that people buy. They don't buy because you mentioned this and I asked you what's the difference between one hotel and the competition is the people that work in your particular hotel, right? So if you're not
Yep.
excited, no one else is going to be excited for you, right? You got to
Yep.
be your own hype man or hype person. So that's
Yes.
exactly what I've been saying. I hadn't said it with the flair that you use, the hype person, but I always say you got to be just as enthusiastic. You got to be your own. What's the word that I use? Dang. Ah man. Dang, I'm lost for words. I mean, I'm never lost for words. But anyway, you got to be your own. Yeah, you got to be your own high person. You got to be excited. You got to be enthusiastic. You just got to be excited over anyone else because if you don't show that enthusiasm, no one else is going to buy off on what the hell you're trying to do.
Absolutely, man. That's the key. Even when I talked to my publisher, the first time I told her about this book, she was like, "I want to print this book just from your excitement in your voice."
Yes.
She's like, "If you're going to be the one selling this book or leading this sales, I know this
Yes.
book is going to be great."
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's that the author has to be excited about the piece more than anybody else.
Yes.
And and I agree with her 100%.
Yes, it's the word I was looking for was advocate. You got to be your best brand advocate. That's
Yes,
it.
sir.
If you're not an advocate for what you're trying to do, ain't nobody else gonna be an advocate. And thank you so much, Stacey Edmond, for that. My brother, he had to send me. I was trying to come up with it. He already had it. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, somebody that's gonna support
Back
you.
up. Back up. That's what I'm talking about. There it is, right there.
I appreciate that. Well,
Yeah.
Mr. Stovall, man, I appreciate your time. This was great. Like I said, it was fitting that you're here on the last day of Black History Month. You're talking about the book that's going to be coming out. Give us the name of the book again.
It's called Hospitality Historiography. I'm still kind of working on the subtitle a little bit,
Okay.
but it'll probably be something like African American hotels who changed the hospitality landscape, something like that. But
Okay.
um,
Okay.
it's hospitality historiography. I know that's a hard word to say, Somebody told me, man, why don't you just name it something simple like Black Hoteliers or something, man? Why you gotta make it all difficult? Why you gotta make it hard? Like, man, I'm not trying to make it hard. If you look it up, it's the exact definition of what it is. It is. If
Okay,
you look
cool.
up historiography, it's the history of. So yeah.
Very good. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. But man, I thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. We gotta do this again. We need to do some live. You're on Instagram, right?
Yes, I'm on IG. Yep. It's
Okay.
at Speaker. You can find me there. Yeah, that's my.
Okay.
That's
We
my
need to do some lives on there. Talk about some of the stuff that you're doing as well. We need
Okay.
we need it to blow up to every audience, not just here on YouTube and LinkedIn, but some of the people on IG don't, they don't listen to don't listen to LinkedIn and YouTube or watch it or whatever. So I just want to make sure that you get the coverage that you deserve on everything.
Well,
Right?
man, Russell, man, I appreciate that, man. For real, that's love. I appreciate that for real. So anywhere you want me, you can find me. I'll be there. I'll be there.
Cool, man. I appreciate the connection, man. Like I said, and we vibe from minute one, man. And I appreciate that. I appreciate, you reaching out and we having the conversation that we've had. And just, you actually gave me some advice that I won't share today, but when this does happen, I will share later. But you gave me some advice that you probably don't even remember that you gave it to me. But I told you what I was trying to do. Like kind of a goal that I wanted to do for this year. And you said, man, this is basically what you said. And like I said, I don't have to go into all of it, but you said, start with the people that you know and go from there. Don't try to start with a whole big ass company. You didn't say that. I used that. But you said, start with the people that you know and grow it from there. And like I said, once it happens, because it's about to happen at one hotel. And once it does happen, I'm going to let you know what it is, because you're the one that said that. And I once you said that, and it seemed like the simplest thing, but it seemed like the simplest thing for you to say, right? Because you just said, dude, just start with the people that you know. I mean, it was just like a matter of fact, so matter of fact and so laid back and so cool. I was like, really? I'm like, but to me, it was the biggest thing in the world that you said. I was like, wow, I didn't think about that. But to you, it just rolled off the tongue. It was just like, dude, just start with the people that you know.
That's why it's all to bounce ideas off people, because sometimes, man, people can tell you something, you'd be like, man, why didn't I think about that?
Yeah.
It surprises you sometimes. My sons do that to me sometimes. Dad, why didn't you just think? Oh, wow, okay.
Oh man, this is too cool. But man, thanks again, man. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you, man. So
that's some hype right there. I like it. That's some hype, Russell.
Oh yeah, thank you again, man. You have a great day, and thank everyone for joining On Air with Russell of Hotels. Thank you so much. We went a little over, but that's okay, right? It's my show. We can go over 4 minutes if that's okay. But no, we had a lot of good information. We found out about Calvin and his career, how he started. Did hospitality choose him, or did he choose hospitality? It seemed like he chose hospitality and loves hospitality. Still loves it to this day, and will continue to love it. And like I said, check out some of his YouTube videos, because they are fire. Just how he gets the crowd going, and just how interactive he is, and how in tune he is with, hotels that take care of their employees. Those are the ones that are thriving, right? If you're not taking care of your employees, those are the ones that are, not doing well. They get the scores, the low scores on the TripAdvisor and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff ties in with customer service, right? How you treat your employees. And we're looking at it right now, and I think you hit on it earlier, that the hotels that don't have employees, or they dropped off and not coming back, it was because those people weren't taken care of. They didn't think they were being taken care of. So that's why they didn't come back. So, but man, I appreciate what you said, because what you're saying is fire, man, and it makes sense. It's just we need to listen and apply that to our businesses and our everyday life. I mean, just treat people with respect and dignity, and you'll be amazed what you get in return.
Absolutely. That is so true. Just be kind, man. Just be kind.
Exactly. Okay, you got the last word, so take it away.
Oh man, look. I don't have any much more to say, man. I just want to just say to you, man, thank you for all you're doing for the industry, Russell. Man, I see you out there making an impact too, and it's always nice to see, people of color out there, man. I just love what you're doing, and just keep up the great work. And I'm grateful to be on the show with you, man. Anytime you want me on, I'm with you. I'm with you, 100%. But thank
All
you.
right. Thank you again, man. Appreciate it.
All right, salute.
Peace.
Thank you for joining On Air with Russell of Hotels. Please tune in every Tuesday at 1 p.m. as we talk to other hospitality professionals. Your feedback is important to Russell. Feel free to email him at russell@russellofhotels.com with any questions or suggestions. Until next time, try not to be a person of success, rather become a person of great value.